Alright, so I'll do a quick follow-up video. I still have two of these connectors in sealed packages from Amphenol. Basically, the ones we use for DC positive and negative are both ordered from Mouser. So if there was an issue, I could probably return them, but I'm pretty sure they're supposed to come this way, but I've got a couple people that said they think it's a possibility that there's a mix-up in the factory when they put the wrong caps in the end. Maybe that's possible. The part numbers, one of them has a -5 on the end, and you know what? I remember when I searched these, I don't know, 6 or 7 months ago, I couldn't find what that designated. I searched through all kinds of data sheets. As you can see here, there's no data sheet even on Mouser, so I had to search around to find it. And then to look at the other one. So one is a PL 18Y-301-70 manufacturer part number, which is right there in Mouser. And when you look, you scroll down, it's actually for 2-aught wire. So that one, what's in here should be correct. We'll bring this out. We'll double check. So because it has the Y in the part number, it should be a letter Y, which you can see under the cap here is a letter Y, so that's good. That one's there. The package from Mouser that I got these in, I might not have anymore, but this is the X, I believe it was. No, not X, but the W that we ordered. So there's a W right there. So basically, this one is the other the other line item here. So as you can see, there's 0 stock left. I believe I might have ordered all they had at the time of this part number. We're juggling chip shortages, but if you come down here, you can see it's also for 2-aught cable. So I think we're in the right, the connectors are correct. I've got 4 of these open so far. They're all the same. They all have a S50 for the W on the end cap here. It says S50 on all of the W's, and all of the Y's, 5 of them, 5 of each. This one's a Y, and you can see on the end, we'll flip it around until we find it. It's an S70. Now it's under the, there we go. So it's an S70 for the Y, and all of them are like that. All 5 of those are like that. All 5 of these are like that. I don't think it's a mistake on Amphenol's side. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and open these on camera just so you can see what I was talking about. I'll try and set this up right here. That should work. So basically, I have a set of calipers here. We can measure it. So we'll start with this. So this one here is the W, I believe. Yes. Pop that off. Don't need it. So this is the W. Thread this out. As you can see there, it's an S50 on the end cap right there. So as we take that off, you can see the size. Like I can't fit my index finger through it. Barely get my pinky finger through it. So that's the S50 on the end cap. We'll pull out this little rubber bushing. And this one I also noticed a weird thing, which I'll talk about in a second. I'm going to do it this way so I don't get things mixed up. So now, this is the part we need to measure inside. And it measures 12.4 millimeters. Sorry, that's upside down, but you should be able to see it. 12.4 millimeters. 12.46, somewhere around there. So that's from the W. Now I noticed one thing with this as well is this little metal bushing that is to hold things in place. Only has this little opening, only has 2 millimeters bigger diameter than this before you crimp it. And that means there's 1 millimeter on each side. This conducts to the housing, which means we only have 1 millimeter of material that can be insulating the copper part of the wire from conducting into the housing, which that also doesn't make sense to me. I'm kind of baffled on that part. So that's a little scary. Maybe this is the one that's wrong, and maybe you're supposed to have an S70. I don't know. That also doesn't make sense because these are for 2-aught cable. The X's that I have, the part number for all the X's, they're for 3-aught cable, and they have S70s on all of them. And I have 15 of those because we have 3 phase wires, and we're trying to get enough to build 5 controllers up right off the bat here. So sliding this all back together, just gonna get that lined up. Looks good. This goes right there. Get that lined up. This right there. Get that back together. So now, when we drop this in here the way it was, you can see. In fact, I should probably bring the camera. This. You can see how there's not a lot of room, just trying to get the light, between that little metal spacer and the wire that's going to be sliding through it, that it still needs to be isolated at that point so it doesn't conduct to the actual metal housing. So that's also another weird thing I noticed, and I have to figure that out. I guess, you know, a layer of heat shrink is maybe okay, but man, that better not chafe inside there and chew through it. And then again, it's going to be supported really well because it's right in the connector. So now let's open up the last one. We'll put this cap in for again, this is for the W. So this is, honestly, this is what I would expect it to be because it's for 2-aught cable. For an ISO cable, I would expect this O-ring that, you know, my pinky can barely slide part way into. That's about the right size, I would say. This one is the one I suspect to be wrong, if anything is wrong. This one is the Y. Let's slide that off there. Need it off there. It's not the end of the world, but I'd like to get it. It's really open. Wow. Usually they're not on that hard. Lucky I didn't knock an axiom off the bench here. So this one has an S70 cap on it, and it's a Y. So basically, pop this out. You can see I could get my index finger in a bit. I can slide my pinky through it, no problem. It's definitely a bigger. S70 is definitely bigger. So now we pop out this little rubber guy. And then these. And this part. So this is the last one I had from the sealed bag, so hopefully this captures it fairly well. Then we measure it again. The measure is basically the same. So hopefully the video can show that. So these two are both for 2-aught cable. There's no denying that, but for some reason the end cap is a different size. So that's more or less one of the big things that was baffling me last time, and I still haven't. I've got a couple people who've reached out, which is really amazing. You know, I have a Patreon account I started a while ago, and part of that account I mentioned if you can help in any way, shape, or form, whether it's, you know, donate some time, donate some labor, donate some parts for me to experiment with, you know, all that stuff helps. You know, I love all that stuff. The community that I've kind of become a part of with this electric vehicle stuff, it's just amazing. There's a lot of amazing people. Super excited about that. So from those two people that have reached out, well, a couple people anyway, they've pointed out, got maybe some contact info with the right people to talk to about these. Also, types of crimpers to use. There's a good crimper to use, one that I have to look for. I'll probably see if we can make a purchase here before too long. For the for testing with a leaf motor, I do have one of the cheaper. It's not exactly Harbor Freight. It's from Amazon, but it's maybe, let's call it half a step above Harbor Freight. Nonetheless, one of these cheaper connectors, and this is the 12-ton, and it goes way up to these dies are supposed to be for 120 millimeter squared wire. So this one will be what I'll experiment with, crimping one of these connectors for the leaf wires. I'm okay with that because these aren't done correctly anyway. I've already folded some wire back over to be able to make it tight in there before I crimp it. Ideally, I would get some 3/0 cable, probably some ISO or whatever, and then basically route new wires to the leaf motor. But that's probably a problem for another day because that's a big job. I gotta get the right connectors that crimp on the other end of the wire and go inside the housing. So, but anyways, I definitely really appreciate everybody's help so far. I think I'm gonna get to the bottom of this and make something work here. Like I said, we're just trying to get our first few Axioms delivered and market. We've got a ton of interest. Lots and lots of people want to buy them, and we're very close to selling the first couple production run Axioms. A couple little things to finish up on them. As soon as I get some free time, the plan is to finish these up and basically get them run up on the dyno and make sure everything's good. Double check the cooling system. I got a couple new radiators coming that are actually sized correctly, and should be able to do a proper test to prove how the cooling works and all that stuff. So stay tuned.